It is 6 p.m. on Tuesday, October 22nd, and I'm calling the meeting of the Whately Select Board to order. First item on the agenda is, as usual, to review and approve the meeting minutes from the previous meeting, October 8th, 2024. Any comments or?
No comments.
Okay,
We approve the minutes.
And I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Review and discuss vendor payroll warrants. Any
I have no comments on that
comments
either.
on those? All right, let's move on. Public comment. I do not see on Zoom anybody who has entered from the public, and there's nobody else in the room, so no public comment at the moment. Appointments, report of the Electric Vehicle Committee on charging station recommendations. Let's hear it.
Okay, you wanna do it or me?
You can do
We're both on the committee.
Yeah.
it.
He brought to our attention, an opportunity to get charging facilities installed with no upfront cost. And they had several different ownership models and, recommendations. This would be for on municipal property. So we can't consider, some places that might be better, but if they're not municipally owned, we can't really do that, and you have to make it available to to the public. And what the electric vehicle committee came up with in total was that 2 locations, we should look into getting these level 3 chargers, the fast chargers.
Nice.
Put one in a very visible location up at the library at the street front. Keith, who's also on this committee, recommended actually which particular 2 spaces. It should go out to the left and to the right of the telephone pole because you can get power straight there. It should be the easier place to install. And that would serve like any of the locations downtown. We would want to think carefully about putting any parking limitation. We might have to put a sign saying, if you're not an electric vehicle, please don't park here unless there's nowhere else to park, and then you can park here. So just, they don't want people to go there when there's empty spaces, so we have to figure out how to say that in less than a paragraph and a half.
Uh-huh.
But I'm sure that's been done. And then, to put 3 chargers, which would be 6 ports altogether, at somewhere in our parking lot. We don't have to decide today which 6 spaces. But since we're never full up here, it seems, here. We're never full up here, so we could let those be active charging vehicles only. They had several different terms. Some of them meant we would have to pay fees in the future. And we thought with the uncertainty, it might be better to choose one of the options where we don't incur a cost. There is, we have to provide there were different things about, making sure we can provide electricity to it, but make sure that the cost of that is covered, and that's the option we chose. And we didn't express it as completely or as thoroughly as Pete would have, but that's really what it came down to. The considerations were where among the basically 4 locations we had earlier identified we should put them, and what were among the choices they gave us, what were the conditions we were willing to live with.
Okay. And it's, residents pay to.
Anybody
charge-
pays.
Anybody pays.
Yes,
to
it's
charge
not
their
free
vehicles.
charging.
Okay,
Anyone
yeah.
who uses it would pay.
Is there
Even the
one?
tower.
Even if
Even
the
the
town
town.
had vehicles and used these chargers,
We would be paid
they would
Yeah.
prepay.
And the
And
money goes 50-50 between.
50-50.
the profit part
if we
is,
do the ECR
Yeah.
ownership model,
yeah, and then the part of the thinking was that we do need places in town for local people to charge. If they don't have a charger at home, or if they somehow need a quick charge, or I don't know, if their children are coming to visit them and they want a quick charge. Because most people who own a vehicle will have a charger at their home, and most of the time, but having that charging infrastructure benefits are the people in our town. And this location is not very far off of 91. So it would benefit travelers to the area, and who could get off, be here within 3 minutes, be charged up 20 minutes later. And, I don't know if the building's open, they could even come use the bathroom, I suppose.
Get Halloween candy.
Get Halloween candy with Halloween, but that was kind of one part of the rationale. The other two locations we considered were the police station, transfer station area. But we thought, the one piece of input from Keith was there really aren't two parking places where we don't already have town vehicles there. And we weren't worried about that as a place where, like, we won't have a place to charge a police vehicle, because that's probably the most likely next vehicle would be either a highway or a police vehicle. And often, as we do say at my house, you buy a charger and dedicate it to that, so we would have a charger, where in all likelihood, you'd get a charger that is dedicated for the town vehicles and don't necessarily use these other charging stations unless you need to for some reason.
Because this
Yeah.
donation program, the chargers have to be made available to everybody.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to limit it to municipal, we couldn't use one of the donated ones.
Yeah,
But at some point, we will have to consider charging for
yeah,
police and or highway.
Yeah,
yeah, and then, and the transfer station's not necessarily, I mean, this is much better when you're getting off exit 24
Oh, yeah.
to get here. It's closer and, they're just trying to figure out where to put it there, especially since the future of the highway garage there is not settled at this point. It just seemed like not a good idea. And at Hurley, similarly, this location is closer and better for highway access, and just vandalism that occasionally happens at Hurley
Oh, right.
made us think, nah, this is probably not the best location. So, and let's see.
And how
Anything
would
else?
we let folks on the highway know that there are charging stations here?
so it'll be part of the EV charging map platform,
Oh,
so
cool.
it gets
Right.
registered in, and then it's a data set that also populates in all the mapping programs. But if you have an EV car, you have one of the apps that tells you where the nearby ones are, what the current
Fantastic.
cost is at that rate, and if it's occupied right now.
Great, and what's the
Yeah.
time frame on this?
I think, I would have to look that up.
So
Unless Pete knows
we would
what
have to
happens then.
first, one, if the board agrees, I would then put in the application with ECR, it goes to Eversource. Eversource then does an evaluation to make sure that the properties are appropriate, that they have level 3 service already, which we know that they do, not level 3.
3-phase.
3-phase service already, which we know both properties do. And then when Eversource then confirms that and verifies that their incentive program is still fully valid, that then means ECR will then say, okay, in our donation, because Eversource is still gonna kick in theirs, we will still kick in. It could be 6 months
Okay.
before we start to see things. We also then, they need to set up the LLC. We'd have to create a lease agreement essentially where they're leasing the rights to have their, if they're doing the ownership, the facility on the properties. But those are legal things that we would just go through. But there is the siting and the infrastructure that has to be brought in, which is why Keith really wants, like, at the library, at the power
Yeah.
pole, because it's
Simpler.
far less lines, yes.
Oh, so do we need a vote to approve this?
Yes.
All right.
No,
If there are any
somewhere.
more questions, I will entertain a motion.
We approve the report of the electric vehicle committee and recommend the act on their recommendations.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. What was? Next item, old business, flag policy, review, discuss and vote on proposed flag policy for municipal properties. We have two versions here, one's the one the slightly longer one and one the short and sweet.
Yeah, so I took the feedback from the board. I made some minor adjustments on the original one, which included. I didn't outline what I changed. It was primarily within the commemorative flag section. And
I
then,
assume on both of these that the second section 2 is supposed to be section 3.
yep,
Look at that. Yeah.
yep,
And
but that's yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm just,
Brad.
if you're gonna refer to something in section 2, we need to know which section 2 it
and
is in.
then second section 3 is
the
four.
first section too. And then the shortened version is based off of another community's very short version. There were a number where they were just one paragraph. I felt that this short one at least gave a little more meat, it explained why and what the purpose. You explicitly identify the permitted flags so that there's no gray area of interpretation. And then identify that half-mast procedure, essentially confirming that if the US flag is to be at half-mast, all others have to be at half-mast.
And I think it's nice to add the death of a local elected, previous elected official. I think that's, my employer does that, but if you need 25 years service.
Oh, yeah,
Get the flag flown.
that 20 is placeholder, you could change
Yeah.
that if you wanted.
25, yeah, I know, well, there are people who I have never met who like have died recently and got the flag lowered. And I'm just like, I've been there 21 years. And they've been gone for more than, I mean, they've been worked for 25 and were gone, and then. So, yeah, not much of long-lived people there.
I'm personally a fan of the short and sweet one and would also recommend that we run it by town council just to make sure we're not getting ourselves into any sort of pickle with anything or leaving any vagaries. Hi.
Excuse me, Jeff.
Oh,
Can you
yeah,
help us from?
absolutely. I think we'll grab some- Rebecca. Any other thoughts?
No, I think the more verbiage you put in, the more grounds there are for people to pick it apart.
Yeah, I put my little blue star on that one too. Cause it was not difficult for me to interpret what it meant.
Yeah.
And I think that, I like that about it.
Well, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we, adopt the, simpler number 2 labeled flag policy, the one with only 3 sections. With the purpose, the permitted flags and the half-mast procedure as delivered here.
Second,
All those in favor?
I,
Aye. And can we run it past town council?
Yep.
Thank you. Special town meeting preparation and assignment of motion.
Yes.
Pete, I'm gonna let you walk us through this.
Sure. So just a couple updates on the warrant. It has not been published just yet, but I was gonna do that after tomorrow. Thankfully, we still have plenty of time.
Yeah.
There are a couple things that have been modified. The first is that the FinCom did meet, they did agree to support the APR free cash funds utilization. The second item is Article 3, the opioid revenue fund. That dollar amount has increased because we've received additional checks last month that weren't accounted for here. So tomorrow I'll get a final dollar amount at that point, and then if we receive any other checks between tomorrow and the town meeting vote, we just won't have the treasurer deposit them. She'll just hold on to them until after the vote. That way we're clean.
Yeah.
They'll just get deposited into the new stabilization or the new revenue fund.
Okay.
The other thing is, there is a very good chance we will most likely ask to indefinitely postpone Articles 4 and 5. There's questions whether or not we really should be creating a revolving fund outside of an annual town meeting. Apparently from the DOR, the guidance is always you can create those revenue revolving funds so long as it's a new source of revenue that wasn't previously identified meaning that it came up after your annual town meeting. We're using fire department fees to fund this revolving fund, which is not new. So we're going back and forth with town council just to see if we probably should move this off. If so, fine. It doesn't hurt anything. Any of the fees will
They've
just
operated like
go.
this for years.
I know.
They can go another,
Yeah, 8 more
8
months.
All right, well, is there, I mean, what's the downside of taking them out?
You're right. We could just take them out too.
I mean, it seems simple.
Yeah.
if there's any question, just take them out.
I don't,
Okay.
yeah, I don't see any reason to put them there for people to say, why are we postponing this?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
Remove, okay. Does that
and
require?
I mean, we'll,
vote?
well, maybe at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe at
okay.
the end. And then the only other thing that I just wanna note is, Article 9, which is the CPA appropriation. In that article, it states that we're appropriating the transfer of 15,474 from the Historic Preservation Reserve Fund and 80,000 from their fund balance in order to provide a total of 96,038 towards these two projects. The very first project, we did not receive that grant, so we don't need those monies. My recommendation, I've asked Alan with the CPC if the CPC will meet and make a recommendation to come back with an amendment on the floor. Because I don't want us to assume that the 14,000 should be coming out of the Historic Preservation Reserve Fund. Unless they wanted to do a split, so we need to know where CPC wants to take the 14,000 out of their different line items. It would most likely come out of the preservation. Fund.
I think, yeah, the first sentence went too fast.
Sure,
The part where some grant didn't,
see the first item in that 86,000,
Yeah.
we did not receive that grant.
oh.
So since we didn't receive the grant, we don't need the 82,000 to match that grant.
Oh, okay,
So the roof replacement and structural support.
We did not receive
we
that
did
grant.
not
oh, I
receive.
see.
Okay.
We only received the grant for the
Yep.
feasibility study, so we do need to appropriate 14,000.
Okay.
But we just need CPC to tell us where is that money coming from.
Oh,
Or the other option is we move forward with this. And we still appropriate that 82,000 in the chance that CPC or the community development administrator can find another grant to do the roof replacement that requires a match. That we then can use that 82,000 that has been appropriated, because we're only saying roof replacement and structural support repair. We're not saying the one stop.
I think we keep it there in case there's something that we can.
Yeah.
There's an emergency repair
That's
needed
true.
on the roof.
Sure.
Or sort of basic, interim support or something that can be done with the roof.
I guess, yeah.
Without a grant. Worst case is it doesn't get,
It doesn't get used and it just
Right.
goes back into their
But
account.
this is a match for something,
Both of them are matches.
right, it's a match, the size of the thing it was gonna match was about the same size?
No,
Yeah, it was like,
it was
much bigger.
significantly larger.
Right.
This was a 10%.
so this
of the
isn't really,
original.
this is not enough to do.
no,
anything
it's not enough
important.
to do major work, but there might be work that could be done.
Yeah,
That
I mean-
could come out, that was anything planned.
I don't, yeah, I would be interested in hearing what the
Yeah.
CPC folks have to say about it. I would probably, it seems like a slush fund if we appropriate it without. I would be uncomfortable with that,
You would be uncomfortable with
Yeah.
appropriating.
with appropriating it, given the grant was
Well,
denied.
it's appropriate, it's earmarked for roof replacement.
Okay, I would be uncomfortable with earmarking it.
But I
Yeah.
think though, because of the language of the article, it says to act as a match fund for grant application. So I mean, not that it couldn't, as long as it's matching or going towards a grant that was doing that work.
It seems like a rather specific amount for a match for a general grant. I think if there's another grant that comes up, we do that. But I don't think, it's not like grant timelines are so tight that, we won't be able to have a special town meeting to
Sure.
commit the funds and anyway, I guess if the community preservation folks came in and said, no, we wanna set this aside and earmark it for this specifically, but I don't know that they would, and, I don't think that's been our past practice.
Yeah. At this
So-
point, though, I think we do need their feedback,
We need their feedback.
because they're the ones that put this forward
Right.
essentially, so. But I just want the
Right.
board to be aware, we didn't get that grant, so at this
Mhm.
point,
Right,
But we
Yeah.
do need to close the warrant, so the question is, do we leave this language in?
well, you already closed it.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You closed it last
I
meeting,
mean, people can't.
so you can
Okay.
always do an amendment on the floor, which is what I was thinking would be done for Article 9.
Yeah, because we don't have time to get other input from the CPC
Yeah,
Right.
before.
right.
And the deadline tonight is to,
Tonight was really just to determine who's gonna make motions or any
Okay.
other things that you typically do before your
So
council.
then, going back to that, then what do we do with Articles 4 and 5?
Yeah,
My recommendation is that it stays in there and that I will find out from town council later this week if we should just do an indefinite postponement. But whoever we decide is gonna make the
Yeah.
motion will be the one to make the motion to indefinitely postpone.
during the actual.
First
Yeah.
meeting, okay, so we can't,
All right.
well,
they're not being pulled out now.
No, I don't know that you want, because you already closed it. Not that you can't reopen it, because thankfully we didn't have to.
closing
tonight.
it doesn't mean you can't take things out.
Correct.
You can still take something out.
We can take something out or we can, do
Or post.
fixes or corrections or anything. We wouldn't wanna add.
Yeah, but I
No, no,
don't think
I'm
we're
not talking
proposing adding.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Like, why confuse the whole issue with those? I mean, I would actually propose we take Article 4 and 5 off.
Right,
I won't die on that hilltop, but it just doesn't make sense to bring them up at all if we're pretty sure that it wouldn't be legal. Right now, I can't go with the favorable action down here if an article is something that we can't really take up. I mean,
Yeah, I
favorable
think-
action when we're allowed to take it up,
if we can eliminate them. I think we
right?
should,
Yeah,
rather than bringing them
We
up.
can eliminate those two articles from a closed warrant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can take them out.
Yeah.
We'll just have you take a vote at the end of this discussion.
Yes.
yeah.
And we will amend the CPA article,
Yeah.
during the.
During the meeting, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so this one, I mean, we will be there in person to say the favorable action was assuming there was a grant. There isn't a grant. So. Yeah, so we can express that in real time
Mhm.
on that, because to just yank that one means it would mean the feasibility study came.
Right,
So, okay,
and we do have those funds, or we did get that grant, so we
yeah,
want.
so we want to be able to do that as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
I have a monetary amount question. 15,474 from the Community Preservation Fund. And then the reuse feasibility study is 14,000.
Right.
What does the feasibility study cost? It costs 14?
No, this is a match to a
The
grant,
match,
so we
I'm
only need
sorry.
14,000.
I'm sorry that I didn't phrase that correctly. I'm curious why 15,474 is coming from one fund.
Because that's the total that they had in that preservation, so
Got
they
it,
were using
okay,
all
so
of
the
that,
total,
and then
for everything
what they had in their
was
fund
96,
balance,
38.
yeah.
Okay, got
But
it.
that's why I want the CPC to also confirm, do you just want 14,000 out of your historic preservation reserve fund, or are you gonna split it between the two
Got it,
funds?
okay, all right, thank you. And they will clarify that at the meeting also, or they will clarify that?
That's what I've requested,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. All right, any further discussion?
you understand what's going on.
And do we need to sign it again, I'm assuming?
No, because you already voted to close it,
Okay.
as long as we just have a record of your vote to remove, we don't necessarily have
Four and
to,
five.
unless you want to reopen it and reclose it. So, you.
Yeah.
If it's not necessary,
All right, I'll entertain a motion to remove those two articles from the closed warrant.
All right, I move that we remove Articles 4 and 5 from the warrant with the full intention of taking it off at annual town meeting.
second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent.
But now we need to talk about the main reason why it was on the
Oh.
agenda. Is to
Motions?
decide who's gonna do what motions.
Okay, well, usually we just start with the chair and then like the chair is number
Alright.
one,
Right.
2, 3, unless someone from a committee is involved.
Yeah,
And they, so if it were the CPA wanted to move Article 9 and they were there, then we could do that.
okay,
And if someone from the planning board wanted to move the,
If someone from the
Yeah.
planning board would be there. So,
so let's start from the beginning. So Article 1 then would be Julie,
Yeah,
Article 2 Joyce,
uh-huh,
3 Fred. 4 and 5 are Don. 6 Julie,
yeah,
7 Joyce. Fred will do the APR. We'll have Alan or Judy do CPA. General bylaw, Julie. And then we'll have Grant do the last 2.
and Article 10 isn't from the planning board,
Correct, it's general bylaw.
that's general.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing the heavy lifting here, Julie.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys typically discuss before, well, like a special town meeting or any other preparations that we need to determine or talk about?
As long as the moderators in the loop,
Yep,
then, I mean, you'll probably wanna chat with you, make sure that the voting requirements are really clear.
Okay.
Those, you know, the kind of things that he'll need to, direct traffic on, so to speak.
okay,
So it might be good, now that this is finalized, to have a chat with them.
in the past, have you typically had like a call or a discussion with town council, the chair of the board and the moderator and the town administrator, or is it just kind of one-on-one arrangement?
Oh, usually the town administrator's done all the liaising with
Okay.
town council.
Okay,
And yeah, we definitely avoided trying to have council at our meetings
yeah,
unless it was a really important thing.
Yeah.
That we really needed to hear directly. That's been the past practice. And usually, the moderator would get everything.
you don't have council, draft the motions, right?
I don't think so. There may have been some where,
there may be, when they were complicated or.
if they were complicated, yeah.
We generally know, but we draft them and then run them past council.
Yeah, just to make sure, okay.
Yeah.
And then as far as the setup and whatnot, because we're doing it here, I'm assuming we don't really have to worry about too much. Just making sure we have seats set.
Yeah, I think the room with the way it's normally set up would be just fine.
Yeah, that,
And we should probably turn that one on too, though, if we're gonna have,
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that one over
but
there.
that's just, it's another.
Yeah.
that's just another.
Just gotta make sure the battery on that is working.
Do you have any desire for any presentations?
Actually, come to think of it, I don't think there's, unless the CPC wants to present anything, we don't have any charts that people will have this stuff in their hands.
It's nothing picture.
there's the long one,
We could always have a slide for each article in the language of the actual article itself,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that people
exactly.
can see
That
I
would
it.
think
be
projecting the wording of the article.
Yeah.
Would be good.
That's easy, yeah.
yeah.
and do we need, I'm wondering if people are gonna have the same kinds of questions that we had about the bylaw codification. And if we'll have to walk people through
Well,
that, in which case
That would be, yeah,
we might want that stuff ready to go.
I'll have the material,
Projected, yeah.
there's not much to project though.
Ah,
Cause it's more just clarifying where this came from, you don't necessarily,
you wouldn't project.
And who is in a good,
that's a
yeah,
wall of text.
yeah.
It's not a
Wall
good
of
use
text.
of.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's not like,
People like me
Budget's
can't read it because of.
Okay.
who's gonna be in a good position to address questions on Article 10?
I'll likely have to, because the town clerk's not gonna be here.
Yeah.
Jess is gonna be standing in,
Yeah.
but I know it
Be with
now.
Jessica as a backup.
And I know the zoning
Your sport.
really well, but I do know the general bylaw stuff, so.
Okay, and questions will be Brett on Art 11 and 12, backed up by you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I am attending the planning board's hearing next week to their public hearing for those two zoning articles, so. That's where I'll do like the dry run of explaining the revisions, what it, and why we're doing it and
Mhm.
what the changes are. And we'll get that first like feedback from the community if there's concerns about this. Because we're not really functionally changing anything, we're just cleaning it up, but people are gonna have.
But people
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
They'll have good
will
questions.
reasonably have
Yeah.
questions.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes, usually it's annual town meeting. And you saw this before we had kind of like the playbook. I mean, here's the actual
Yeah.
motions,
Yeah.
here's the explanation. But I don't know that, we haven't really done that for special town
No.
meetings, because their warrants are so much smaller, but.
Well, and I included
Yeah.
notes this time to
Mhm.
kind of try to explain the articles. Without needing a playbook.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, I think that's fine for this.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
So we've given everybody assignments on complicated articles, there's a point person for questions.
New business, licenses, review pending license fees and renewals. A nice little chart of comparisons here.
Try to get as much information, that people were willing to give to me.
Yeah,
Can see we have 3 towns that were nice enough to give us some information, but it looks like Shelburne has, is that Shelburne on there?
yes,
Yeah.
Shelburne, Ashfield and Pelham.
Yes, is
Yeah.
the most formative, for sure.
So they get the award for being the nicest towns.
Yes,
They're the
I love it. I
nicest
love when
towns.
people respond to me.
Oh, yeah. Well, there are, yeah, I was gonna say, there are certain towns who I think might respond under other conditions
Yes,
than they're in right now.
yes, for sure.
Yeah.
The second page is just a list of all of our active annual licenses. I just wanted to, Pete and I wanted to show you that, just so you guys were aware.
And those will come up in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, those will come up in December and you guys will approve all of the licenses come December, once they send me back all the
That's
renewal
when we get a
information.
big stack of signing.
Yep,
That's
yeah.
The
Like
only
signing
question I have
up.
on those is that the license type
Oh,
does not correspond one-to-one with the name, with the license.
yeah, so
I will
the
say.
information that was given to me on the second page, I kind of just put together, it was from the ABCC. So that's what they say as their license type. But come December, you'll get a list of all of the actual licenses.
Okay, yeah,
that
just
they-
to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which of these,
Yeah.
because it says on-premise retail, and there are a couple that.
Yes, and like the Whately Inn has like an inn holders license as well, so you'll see all of those
Right.
licenses listed
Right.
and.
This is only the alcohol.
Yes.
Right.
I just wanted to put together a quick thing for you guys just to see. And then I will be sending out all those letters, right at the beginning of November. So,
And we've already approved this, so we don't need to do anything.
you approved it last year
Yeah.
and you guys had just asked me if I
Oh,
could,
23,
yes,
sorry.
23, and I could just kind of look at other surrounding towns, to kind of
Yeah,
see what their fees were. We hadn't changed them in a while, I don't think. I can
I
only
think,
see.
yeah, it was a couple years back. we
Yeah,
Brought them up, and we had more than just these 3 towns
yes,
reporting at that point. And we were comparing more to towns that were in the 91 corridor and 116 area. When we did that. And I mean, some of these were lower, some of these were higher. Some of these, well, actually, most of them were at least a little bit higher, like $25 and $27.50. Entertainment's the
Right.
same.
Yeah.
Automated amusement. Some of the alcohol ones are all purpose. Malt is actually very close. The package store. Package goods or all alcohol, yeah, that's all. I mean, we're really close on all these except general on premises, all alcohol, we're a little bit higher than Shelburne. But it may be that's just more in line with Sunderland and Deerfield, and I'm sure we were
Yeah,
comparing
we
with
compared
Yeah,
last
on
time.
the last time around, so I don't see any big reason to change based on this. It doesn't seem like. If somehow we've got like a whole bunch of emails tomorrow, from other towns and they were really different, then that might be something to consider,
Yeah.
to reconsider, but it doesn't seem like it's urgent to.
And a lot of the places, cause I'm like in an admin, email the wrong cheese bread. And a lot of the towns that were responding were from like the Boston area, so it's very hard to compare
Yeah.
those licensees to our town,
Right.
so.
Right. And Helen.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it verbatim,
Just,
I copied and
yeah.
pasted verbatim what she said to me, so.
Right.
And then I went to their website and it says they don't charge a fee.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, well, they probably collect, I don't know, $1.25. I mean, they don't have a lot of premises there.
Yeah.
I don't think
We
so.
don't think so either.
That's-
Initially, I was like, oh, they must be a dry town.
That's, yeah, that's what I was like, oh, but maybe, I don't know.
I don't know, well, I guess I said what I thought, but whatever you all.
I would agree,
I'm
yeah.
fine, I see no reason to change.
And is this a voting?
This would be a vote to approve this
For
for
the next
2025. So,
I
yeah.
move that we approve this for 2025.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent. For recognition of service. New business. Did have a request via email from a resident submitting the idea that, the select board consider a recognition of service program to recognize individuals that have served the town or a board, likely based on the length of service either for paid or volunteer status. The board would need to set a policy for the recognition as well as what would be provided as a means to commemorate it. If the board is interested in something like this, Pete says he will pull together some existing examples and draft a policy. Well, before any of us need the flag at half-mast.
not
Yeah.
to be aware of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Good point.
see, that's the thing, that's the thing.
Yeah. I'm of
I-
two minds about this.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks that's a great idea, because if you do something for the town, it's nice to be recognized. And another piece of me goes, oh God, another piece of paper.
And like, that's another task for somebody.
Well, that's what I was just like,
Yeah.
who are we gonna ask to go and manage it, track it?
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
also, it then also involves drawing a line.
Yes,
Of who
Yeah.
gets
And
it,
how
who
do you
gets it,
decide
if
that
someone
line?
is just short.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, are there any that are simply like on retirement, on stepping down from a board on that occasion? I mean, writing a letter. And because that doesn't cost any money. And,
You can do a citation, it's a little more formal, just a little reward. The board does a citation and you sign off on it and you recognize them at a public meeting, at like a select board meeting. But then the question is, are you doing that for somebody who serves a single 1-year term?
yeah, if it's one heck of a year, you might.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
Depends on the year, I suppose, but, yeah. Cause I think we have done things like, hey, this person's retired from this committee and they've served for a while, and just say, hey, let's send them a thank you letter. And that, it's usually just that someone brings it to our attention. And maybe, I know there's been some turnover in the planning board and finance committee, so those might warrant some letters, but, I agree about the burden, you know, who gets the burden of deciding or having to look into it, and I guess we just make it a part of, I mean, if I were to write a policy, I'd see if we could somehow integrate it smoothly into things we already do. Like when appointments are made by the select board, we take a look at people rolling off and say, well, and at the time, we can decide, I suppose, but, we're not the only people who appoint. So that would
We
be,
could set like the number of years, of certain, 5 years, which might be a good number because there are no terms that are 5 years.
You'd
So
have to serve 2 terms.
You'd have to
of
serve
something.
at least 2 terms of something to hit that.
Right.
yeah, I would. And then for, thank you letters, if that's all we're talking about, it costs us, I don't know, somebody's time and a stamp. Right,
Mhm.
so. Can you look at really simple things like that?
Yeah, and I can help with obviously sending those letters out or communicating with that person or whatever you guys need for me on that end.
Okay, I'll put something together.
Thank you. Next item, personnel appointment of community development administrator. Woo!
You-
Yeah,
Yes, take it. Take it
Take it,
away.
take it.
I'll
Ian.
take it away, I'll back you up.
Or- yeah.
So, we had 12 applicants apply for the community development administrator position. We shortlisted that to 3 candidates, held interviews on October 7th. And we are recommending that Erica Roper be appointed. She has worked in community planning, handled grant writing, she's a certified mediator. She's local, she's in the process of moving to Williamsburg.
Oh.
But if she is appointed, she'd be able to start December 2nd, because November she's gonna be doing her moving.
Yeah, she's doing freelance work now or
Yeah.
consulting
Consulting.
that she's gotta wrap up.
And she has accepted the position.
Yes.
I move
Yay.
that we appoint Erica Roper.
Second, sorry.
She can be king now.
That's a little over
To
enthusiastic
our
there.
vacancy on the community development administrator.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Excellent.
thank you, Erica, welcome,
thank
welcome
you.
to the town.
Thank you, Fred and
Yes,
Brant
and Brant
for
and Pete for finding her.
finding her and interviewing and all that. Okay. Review, discuss, and vote on proposed update to the Whately Town Hall building policy, which as I understand it is minor and
But important.
wise.
Yeah.
So it's just an amendment to
The last.
the rules of usage, yeah, on page 6. At present, if we allow users to place trash in the receptacles, unless it's exceeding the amount of space that's in the receptacle, then anything that's in excess, they're supposed to take with them. It has left a problem due to the fact that we have custodial service once or twice a week. So if there is food that's left in the trash can, it's sitting there and it's degrading and whatnot, and it's creating problems. So the request from Neil was to simply add in a line that says, if you're going to be serving food or drink, you need to remove from property all food trash that you generate by the end of the event. So normal trash can still go into the receptacles, but if it's food waste, the food waste needs to be taken off the property.
Okay. And it's not our senior cousin's problem, is it? Could be.
I don't know if it was identified who's
Oh,
doing it, but
we know.
yeah.
I think it's been an ongoing kind of
Yeah.
thing
An
that like
ongoing
every
thing?
so
Yeah.
often it just happens.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then we would notify the people using it.
So yeah, once if you approve the policy update, we do know who's already scheduled, and Jess will be able to give them a reminder, or not a reminder, but let them know the
And a
policy's been
notice.
amended, and here's that.
Yeah,
Because we do know based on those reservations who's going to serve food, so we can let them know, by the way,
Yeah,
going forward, we need to do this.
okay,
And they can take food waste to the, transfer station and put it in the compost any day.
Okay,
Doesn't have to be,
oh, doesn't have to be.
doesn't have to be
Compost
Saturday
is
or
open.
Tuesday. Compost is open all the time, because
great.
I
Oh,
said,
let's
I
post
said
that.
one day, gosh, I always forget to do that. And he said, I could do it anytime.
We should post that on. the
Anytime.
website. I think that's like the best kept secret in all of Whately.
Yeah,
Okay,
I will entertain a motion
I
to.
I move that we amend the usage for town hall to include the language discussed.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, select board liaison updates. I'll go first and say that I don't have anything except to ask Joyce.
No,
I think I put you in email contact with the person about the.
oh, you did.
Yes,
I-
sorry about the
I
broadband.
haven't done, oh, yeah, I haven't done anything with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that you actually got that.
I got the email.
Good,
I didn't do anything about it though.
alrighty.
Okay,
I have nothing.
okay. We had a very short board of oversight meeting for the Scott County Senior Center. And it was mostly just an informational thing that, Deerfield is working with the group that's doing the actual feasibility study. They have some new information, and that is that their town administrative offices are gonna be moving to the 1888 building on a time schedule that they know it's a couple of years, but it's because the money was approved for that. So they're anticipating that maybe the current building where their town administration is would be a better location to either tear down and rebuild or refurbish or whatever. And they just are letting us know that they're not gonna ask the EDM studios to look at the church by itself as the only footprint that they could use, that the footprint is bigger and probably gonna be long-term better and less expensive at their, what was once the Deerfield Elementary School, I think.
Okay.
So so the location is actually, that they're gonna get a deeper bunch of information on is different. Initially, they actually said, oh, we could split it up between these two, and everybody who had anything to do with the senior center said, no, that's not a good idea. You don't take your, like, you don't put your police department half here and half here.
Mhm.
You know, that it's really one spot. And in the end, I think they agreed with us, but I guess we'll see what they ask EDM Studios to do. But I think we certainly made the case that it should be pick a location. If EDM Studios is fine with changing it, then we certainly don't mind. To me, the important thing was we want to get like two really good spots to choose from. And if somehow, I'm glad the information came up sooner rather than
Yeah.
later, because
Yeah.
if they had if this came up in a year or two, then they'd be like, oh, well, we didn't get the information we need. We could do it this other place better, and we wouldn't really know. Could you do it at that other place better or cheaper, or by how much? So we want to be able to make a well-informed decision about like the best possible location that the Deerfield campus can offer. And I think that's gonna be accomplished by changing the location where they'll get more information. I mean, it's got more green space, it's got something like, the footprint now is somewhere around 12,000 square feet.
Just the administrative side?
Just the administrative side,
Wow.
they tell me. Now,
That's big.
yeah, I don't know what they're including, I'm just
Yeah.
telling you the number he told me. And it's physically separate from the police station, which looks like they're together from the outside, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're separated. Anyhow, that's the update, that things are still moving along, and hopefully going to EDM, ball's gonna get tossed to them very soon.
This property is still the other.
Yes, and Whately
Oh,
is,
right.
479 is still the other opportunity.
Thank you, and town administrator updates.
Let's see, on personnel, we do still have one remaining open position. It's the planning board and ZBA administrative assistant role. We had 9 applications that came in. The chairs and I reviewed those. We shortlisted that group. I did phone interviews with, the shortlist yesterday. And from that, we are going, Grant and I will be interviewing 4 of them next Monday, with the anticipation of bringing recommendations to the November 12th meeting.
Okay,
Cool.
November elections, early elections are happening right now, early voting is happening right now. And then also just a reminder that the advanced removal of early vote ballots from the envelopes will be taking place 9 AM on Friday, November 1st. It will be an open public viewing held here at the town office. I believe, right?
Yes.
I just realized that noted. No results will be determined. Nothing will be announced until after the closing of the polls on the 5th. Also, just a reminder that the Climate Resilience Pollinator Project Kickoff is taking place here at the town offices Thursday, November 7th from 6 to 7:30 PM. That's the project to look at designing a pollinator corridor on town-owned land in the community that can assist with climate resilience and support the local ecosystem. One other note with regards to with regards to the annual town meeting this past June, you'll remember there were a lot of zoning articles.
Mhm.
The AG's office did finally give us notice that they have signed off and approved Articles 24, 25, 26, and 29. So those have now been implemented, those changes have now been implemented in our zoning bylaw and in the final draft code as well. The 2 that have not are Articles 27 and 28, which had to deal with the community housing. The AG's office just wanted some additional time, not that there was an issue, just extension of time. The intention is that they were given an approval to extend and get back to us by November 1st, so that at least when we go to special town meeting, we'll know whether or not that has been implemented, and we can note it in the vote too for that codification process. With regards to the Franklin Regional Technical School, representatives from the communities, which included Julie, met on October 8th to select a municipal collective bargaining representative for the upcoming collective bargaining sessions. The chosen was
I think it's Mayor.
Mayland
Yeah.
DeWitt, who is a member of the Board of Selectmen from the town of New Salem. So that Mayland will be representing all of the communities on those negotiations, and that is.
Cool. You had wanted to discuss meetings,
yes.
upcoming meeting?
Yeah.
It's.
So-
Yeah.
One question I had was, I think I messed up. I
Oh.
thought the board met every second and 4th Thursday. I believe your schedule is every second and last
And like,
Tuesday.
yeah,
Did I say Thursday? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
All right.
Is it second and last or second?
Last.
It is second and last.
Second.
Okay, so I need to fix that going forward.
Oh,
So we're a week ahead this month, but
This month, don't we?
yeah,
Yeah.
but then. December is a difficult month.
Right, yeah, December is one where we sometimes will only have one meeting. in December.
Right.
So,
What we did last.
yeah, you could probably do that. You do need to have, last year, the very first Tuesday, you had the tax classification hearing with the Board of Assessors.
Uh-huh,
That is a single purpose meeting, dual, joint meeting.
Mhm.
So if we do that, it would be December 3rd. But then, yeah, if you wanna do one meeting outside of that in December, that's fine. The problem is in December, the 24th and the 31st are the eves to the
Yeah.
2 holidays.
and
So I don't know if we do the 3rd and the 17th. The 3rd being the joint meeting and the 17th being your standard meeting.
I,
That would be for me.
That works. I'm okay with that.
I have an early morning the next day, so let's try to get it done before 6 or 7, before 7 or 8.
So let's-
I don't know, we're gonna be
We're
spending a
have to do
whole
all-
month.
We're gonna have to do all the permit.
Yeah, the
Well, the permits,
licenses,
licenses, well, yeah, that,
We'll find it out.
I think, yeah.
for the most part, it's all renewals. We don't have any
No, we
new
don't have any new
applications.
applications. The only one that might be, Amy came to me today and asked if, where this check, I guess she got a check from the Whately Inn. And I know that last year they applied for a transfer of license that never got approved. Well, you guys approved it, but the ABCC never approved it. They had some corrections. They had to go back and redo the application for the transfer of license, but I have not had any communication as far as, what's going on now. So I only had communication about a couple months ago. So I'm not too sure if they'll be applying for that within the time frame of when I send out that letter to them. That's just a transfer of license, no new licensing.
I think I would like to hear from Castaways though.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, we have not heard from Castaways. Pete and I have been in communication via email with them, attempting.
Yeah,
But no response from them. I will be sending the letter to them, but I'm anticipating no response.
Yeah, they're supposed to report.
I
to
don't
us.
think we need to get on their case.
No, I'm just gonna send the letter as normal, and if they
Yeah,
don't
whatever you
renew,
normally
then-
do.
Right.
There's-
He had reached out because they had, some, pinball machines and some games that they needed the automatic amusement licenses for. They actually requested that from
Yeah.
us, but then never responded to our, email saying, here you go, fill out the application. So they never heard from them, so.
there is, I think we need to reach out to Simmers as well.
Yes, that would be a seasonal license.
Oh, okay,
Quant is our only seasonal license, so
Okay.
that will be in March.
okay.
So
all right.
once March comes around, I'll be reaching out to Simmers. I think that they were operating this summer and I wasn't
Huh.
aware,
Yeah,
Oh,
so. Yes,
we didn't
Oh,
have any
the
formal
one-
notice, yeah.
yeah, no formal.
They were operating the old
does
license.
that mean we can charge them a
I'm
really
not
good fee?
sure what happened. Last year, Brian flagged it to me. I reached out. They weren't, they weren't in operation last summer. But this summer, I'm pretty
Oh.
sure that they might have been,
Yeah,
I
I think
don't
they
know.
were, I drove by.
I drove by.
Oh, they were in operation.
Times, and I didn't see anybody, but I drove, that was in the beginning of the summer.
No, they were.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were.
so just something to be
Yeah,
aware of,
So,
for us, or for me at least, to reach out to.
yeah,
but otherwise, there's no. new-
we can offer forgiveness
I-
if they're willing to pay
Yes.
that fee in arrears.
Absolutely, but yes, no new.
Yeah, there's a change of ownership there and probably.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
Right.
seem like a,
No, not at all, but no new applications, just the same ones that you guys saw on your previous.
Yeah.
form.
oh, okay.
Okay,
So for me,
All right, well, then,
we all good?
I will, make a move to adjourn. Motion to adjourn,
Make a move.
make a move to adjourn.
hey, I'll make that move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.